expectations come in a couple of different forms, and some are really, really big, like cultural expectations. We all are the product of our cultures. This is actually something I encounter all the time at NYU Stern because many of my students come from Southeast Asian cultures, and their parents are sending them there to the United States with expectations about what you do when you have an American college degree or business school degree. You're going to go into certain industries, and those certain industries are going to deliver certain kinds of economic security. And these students who love their families very much, come fully loaded with their family's expectations that there are only certain kinds of jobs that they can and should have. And they really have, blinders on. And I actually show a video clip of an Indian comedian. She's so hysterical. And she actually says, I'm stunned that in America, that there's actually students, American students, who think that they get to choose their own major. This is something that your parents pick, all right? And I get it. Now, I didn't come under this. My parents were hippies. My dad was an architect, and my mom was an artist, and they had the exact opposite. So I didn't have myself the cultural expectations of my family, but I did have a different kind of cultural expectation. And that I was from a Sicilian family. My Catholic Sicilian grandmother raised me in the house, and along with my mom and dad, and those cultural expectations were that I was going to get married. I was going to get married. That was like, just hurry up and get married, right? That's what you did. They didn't talk to me about my career, even though I was at a great college and was a very studious young woman. I did not ever get asked what I was studying or anything like that, because the expectation was that my sisters and I were not going to have careers. We were going to get married. And there are still plenty of cultures, even though that's really less than it was when I was young, that's still a cultural and social expectation, and it can be a family expectation. Family expectations can have elements of cultural and social dynamics to them, but they can also be things like the family expects you to live nearby. The family expects you to go into Uncle Joe's plumbing business. The family expects you to come every Sunday to Nana's house for casserole. Right? And these expectations, they can be beautiful because there can be so much history and tradition in them. They can be nullifying to who we really are if we cannot shake them off and they are not aligned. And these can be also around, they can be very micro, like you are expected to spend Thanksgiving in this house, or they can be very macro, like you are expected to marry somebody with this gender identity. Okay, and they can come in all different flavors, shapes, and sizes. And that's true of both cultural and national expectations. There are also generational expectations. All right, so in my generation, I'm 65, in my generation, it was expected that all married women had children. They were just nobody said, I don't want children. It just didn't happen. And now it's a different time, and generationally, actually, it's expected that women will really question whether or not they want to have children. I mean, this was unheard of a few generations ago. My observation of Gen Z is that one of the generational expectations is that you don't think work is the most important thing, that work is a means to an end, and that it's very countercultural to say, if you're Gen Z, very countercultural to say, I love my job, I really want to succeed, I want to be a CEO one day, I can't wait to get to work. People, there's some generational zeitgeist around saying that is not what's expected anymore, that whatever company you work at, it's just going to eat you up and chew you up and spit you out. Maybe that's true. I live in a neighborhood in New York City called the Upper East Side. It's kind of the bedroom of New York. It's where a lot of the bankers and business people live. Even in this neighborhood, there's expectations about where the kids are going to go to college, starting like when they're 4 years old. All right, so we are just all of us in a big miasma of expectations, and so much so, and we so absorb them that sometimes we don't even question them ourselves. We just feel like we're suffocating. And that's how it presents. When expectations are not actually what's truly inside you, when your cultural, social, or family expectations are not aligned with your true values, you feel like you gotta get out. Or you feel like you're slowly dying or can't breathe. And you may be thinking, oh, well, there's this or there's that going on. No. What is actually going on is you are bumping up, your true authentic self is bumping up against the expectations of whatever context they are coming from, family, social, or cultural. And if it's you, you may be wondering, well, how then do I get the heck out of it? How do I fight it? And this is the question of our lives in many cases. If expectations is what's holding us back from our dream of a life, The question is, well, how do I fight back? And some people never do. They just live lives of quiet desperation, as the famous quote goes. But you can fight back. And the way you fight back is with language. And it's a beautiful way to fight back because it's not really fighting, it's explaining. And that is that you get a language of your own values and you learn to talk about expectations. And you don't want to be in a place of estrangement with your culture. You don't want to be estranged from your family. You don't want to be estranged from the society in which you live. That's just my own personal opinion. I think it's always better to stay in relationship than be estranged, even though sometimes that's very hard and we want to cut the cord. And sometimes we have to because the disagreements are so vast and so painful. But if you can stay in relationship and explain, look, there's a set of expectations, mom and dad, around what I'm going to do with my life. But my values differ from that, and I want to stay in relationship with you. That's so valuable to me, and yet I want to also live my own dream of a life. And that may not align with your expectations, but I think we can stay in relationship. And I just urge this staying in relationship as we reclaim our own lives from other people's expectations. It's the hardest work. I'm like saying this like it's easy. I know it's hard. The world is filled with beautiful stories, true stories of people who faced into expectations, redefined themselves as their authentic beings, explained themselves to the world and said, look, I'm not going to take issues with your expectations. They are yours. Keep them. Have them. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling you I have different values and I want to be in relationship with you and live my dream of a life, not your expectations dream of my life. And I think we have to do this with tenderness towards each other and respect and understanding. A lot of times, the people who are imposing expectations on you had those expectations imposed on them by their culture, their family, their parents. And they're looking at you and they're saying, why are you fighting back? I didn't do that. Maybe they didn't have the courage. Maybe they didn't have the space. Maybe whatever. But don't think they haven't had that journey themselves. Maybe they did when they were younger. And maybe they're bitter about it. But I think we have to do this with a lot of tenderness and understand that people who have expectations hold on to them very tightly for their own reasons. And so approach those conversations with as much love as you can, but don't be fearful of them because they will set you free to live the life that is truly the one that you were meant to live.